Okay, fantastic. Well, I'm pleased today to be here with another episode of the InsurTech Leadership Podcast. And today's episode is on building the future of insurance with AI, hustle, and purpose. Joining me is Aman Gour, CEO of FurtherAI, a Y Combinator-backed startup bringing automation and AI to the most unglamorous yet mission-critical parts of insurance. Aman's a two-time founder, product builder, and storyteller in progress. He's helping rewire how insurers handle submissions, audits, and claims intake. Welcome, Aman.
Thank you so much for Josh for having me here. Excited to talk to you about AI, insurance, and everything in the middle.
Yeah, awesome. So, so maybe let's just start with FurtherAI and, what's the core problem you're solving? Why does insurance need this sort of automation now more than ever?
Yeah, I think when it comes to further AI, we're looking at two particular things. One is the inefficiencies that exist in the workflows today. They're like 40% of time across the entire value chain gets spent in manual repetitive tasks that can now be automated with AI. So we are approaching those tasks, building AI assistants that can automate those tasks, saving significant amount of time, which gets spent today. The second part of it is unlocking things that were not possible before, things that were not possible at all. Let's say analyzing an entire tower of submission and asking questions on top of it and things like that. So these are the two areas where we are building FurtherAI. FurtherAI is a platform which automates various back office operations like submissions, audits, policy comparison, and so on. And we have a library of such AI assistants for tasks across underwriting, claims, compliance, and so on. We work with some of the leading insurers, reinsurers, brokers, as well as MGAs across different lines of business as well. So it's been fun so far.
So I was listening earlier today to a podcast talking about agentic AI, and the guests on the podcast were sort of arguing the definition of agentic AI.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, would you define what you're doing as agentic AI, or is it sort of, is a co-pilot also agentic AI? Is that something different? Could you maybe give your 2 cents on that, given work you do in the field?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we can just sort of clarify, the agentic AI term gets thrown very loosely, but it can have a very precise definition. So there used to be this workflow automation before generative AI came in and so on. What that meant was you have an input, you have a set of steps that you want the system to take in, which is very rule based, and then you will create that output. So that was workflow automation without LLMs. With LLMs, you can still have the same workflow automation, but different steps can now be smarter um, for extraction, processing, and so on and so forth. So that's more of workflow automation with AI. The agentic AI is the next leg of it, where you just give the input and what you want to achieve. The AI finds out the steps to perform, reasons it through, and goes in that this agentic loop where it does a task and also reflects on that task and then corrects it if the output is not correct and gets you the final output. So that loop in middle is the agentic loop where AI is doing things and checking things and then correcting it till it gets the final output right. So FurtherAI is definitely an agentic AI platform where it can do things on itself. You can even do the workflow automation as well. So we are combining the predictability of a workflow automation versus the capabilities that agentic AI brings in into the same platform.
Got it. And so why were you drawn to, this sort of an unglamorous problem, and how did the business come to be?
Interestingly, if I get $1 for every time I get asked this question, Josh, we would not need the next round of funding.
Yeah.
But it's been fascinating to partner with insurance. It's been the kindest industry that I have worked in since I started my career at Microsoft and then built a company before, and now AI for insurance. But we were drawn to it primarily for two reasons. One, we felt that there is a huge opportunity because there's a lot of unstructured data which now AI can process. That was the simple first principle that we were looking at. But the second thing, why we picked it over other industries like legal or mortgage, is because people were really nice to us. Everybody sort of gave us time, helped us understand the the language of insurance, the nuances of it, and how the industry functions. And I think it's primarily because there's this saying, right? Either you're born into insurance or you're tricked into it. And most people end up getting stumbled into insurance one way or the other. Very few have actually studied insurance as a course, unlike legal. So the industry ends up being open to people coming in, having energy to learn about the industry, and then contributing back to the industry. So that worked out pretty well for us. I joke that if I take a broker exam today, I'll pass it. So that's
Right.
how deep we are in the industry. This is the only industry that we work in. It's been like last 22 months now, and very, very grateful to be a part of the industry and bringing our unique edge in technology and AI to the industry as well.
And so, speaking of just technology transformation in insurance or the use of AI, are there any observations you have, similarities about working in the insurance industry, differences, challenges, opportunities, and anything particular that stands out for you working in this industry versus others that you've been involved with?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that stands out for me is that insurance was labeled as slow to adopt technology in the past. And even before we were picking up insurance as an industry, we were told that insurance is a slow moving industry. We heard it from the investors and so on and so forth. But what I think is it's been that it's not insurance is slow to adopt technology. Technology was not there to solve the core need of insurance. There was no way previously that you can upload a long policy form and there is a technology that can understand it, comprehend it, reason on top of it, summarize it, and so on. With generative AI, that has changed. Like now, you can upload a policy form in FurtherAI and ask it to summarize it, ask it to extract coverages, exclusions, compare two policy forms, audit entire set of like 30 policies that are underwritten based on guideline, and so on. This was not possible before. So we are seeing the complete opposite actually. Insurance is amongst the top two industries which are adopting AI at the pace like no other industry. And that's been fascinating to watch that change, also to be a part of that change that we're able to drive. Um, yeah, I've moved from three coffees to five, but apart from that, everything else is good.
And so there's certainly other companies that are bringing AI to the industry. There's other companies that have trained LLMs. There's other companies doing things that they claim are agentic. Um, is there something particularly unique about your approach or that's differentiating that's enabling you to get some of the traction you've achieved already?
Yeah, so I think a lot about differentiation, but just last week I was in a conversation with a CIO of a really, really big company, it's like one of the top three insurers globally. Uh, and we did a demo, 45-minute demo with all the high energy to them. And then I asked him, what's your feedback? He started by saying that, Aman, what I saw is not new. I skipped a beat when he said that. I was like, okay. Uh, but he continued. He said that, but this is the first time I've seen all of these things in different places, in different platforms, in point solutions, and so on. But this is the first time I'm seeing everything put together neatly in a slick way in the same platform. So I think that gave me a thought towards what we have been working towards, where you have one platform in which you can do a lot of things. It's not just a data extraction platform. It's not a data enrichment platform. It's not a workflow building platform. It's not a ChatGPT alternative. It's all of that put into a sleek interface where what it does is it adds up, it removes inefficiencies, improve sort of add value there, and unlocks things that were not possible before. So there are companies that were started, let's say in 2016, 2018. They have been able to do that, Josh, in the last 8 years. But most companies that are started with AI first core are not there in terms of the completeness. I think that's where we are winning in the market, where in the last 22 months, one, we have become AI first because we were born in AI,
Yeah.
and we have the most complete offering for the insurance industry. Um, so that I think is big differentiator in the way we have built things and so on. And in many areas, we have also gotten lucky as well. We have had people who have advised us the right thing. We have had investors who have supported us with capital so that we can hire really, really, really smart engineers in the Bay Area. The salaries ends up being pretty expensive, but it pays for itself, and so on. So that's I think where I stand in terms of where what further AI. It's like one of the only AI first platform built for insurance, which is complete.
And so how much of it is sort of that breadth and how much of it is the UI and the usability?
So we define the product definition is actually across four core uh, levels. Josh, at the core of it is an AI which is fine-tuned for insurance. That's we had to spend a lot of time in getting that right. Uh, a simple example is if you upload a policy form in ChatGPT and ask it how many coverages are there, it will give you different answers every time. It will miss out on coverages and so on. If you do the same in Further AI, you will get all the coverages that you have asked for. So that's the core of Further AI, which is an AI for insurance. Around it, we have built a library of workflows across submissions processing to policy comparison to audit, across claims processing, claims validation, and so on. And we're building this library of workflow. We are not saying 5 workflows, we are not saying 10. We'll build as many as our partners and customers want. And then we have these core integrations with industry softwares like agency management systems, policy management systems, CRMs, and so on, which allows for end-to-end workflow automation. Now, all of this is in the background. A human interact with a very simple interface with AI, where it's like a human AI is collaborating to get tasks done. And it's not just about human assigning a task to AI. Sometimes AI assigns tasks to a human when it needs help, when the confidence scores are low and things like that. So all of that is like displayed in a very simple UI, which is almost like you're talking to a human being, which gets insurance, gets the workflow, knows your internal systems, and gets the job done.
Got it. So, um, so obviously there's a human element to this as
Yeah.
well. So, I mean, does this sort of start with a process mapping exercise of what they're doing today and the combination of kind of people, process, and technology that already exists within an organization when you start?
That's right, Josh. But we don't have to do that for every customer because that's where the workflow library comes into play. We have put in that extra effort to learn the workflows of insurance and then map them out. But every customer has their unique workflow. So we then end up configuring it. So we have an entire platform through which all of that can be edited within days, not even weeks. And that goes live quickly. But instead of being a technology company saying that, hey, here is a platform, you figure out the process, map it, integrate it, and so on, which ends up being very challenging, which ends up taking a lot of time. We are coming in with a solution to a problem that you want to get solved and bringing it, then modifying it to your workflows. So that approach of solution first rather than technology first has been really helpful because if somebody gives you a platform to do things, yeah, it might be nice, but people want to get their problem solved. They have enough things to do on their plate themselves than to understand a platform and figure it and do things, right?
So how did you attract, not coming from the industry, how did you attract kind of the domain expertise into the organization or find people to partner with to be able to, understand these workflows and, get to the level of insurance knowledge you have today?
So in the early days, what we did, we actually drove around the Bay Area with a box of donuts and literally went from one agency to the other, spend time with them, try to learn the workflows, and so on. And it was really nice. Like that's where I keep saying that the industry has been really kind to us because people gave us time uh, and helped us learn the initial part of the workflows. But over the course of time, Josh, we have now people internally in the team who understands insurance. We have an advisory board which has decades and decades of experience across the insurance value chain, from like capacity providers to investors to brokerages to MGAs and so on. So now that helps us build solutions quickly and take something to the market which market really needs and can adopt quickly, and that delivers really high ROI.
Got it. So I understand you've had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit since you were quite young. So is there a common thread for you in terms of this entrepreneurial journey, and also as you've moved into not just having that entrepreneurial spirit, but also being a leader in entrepreneurial environments? How has that evolved?
That's an interesting one. I just simply like to solve problems and help people see when there are problems and sort of take them along. That's been my go-to, Josh. In my first company as well, what I enjoyed most is, yeah, here is a problem. Let's try to find ways in which we can solve this most effectively, the way that people want it to be solved, and the way it generates business value. And then doing it as a collaborative team. So having played a lot of sport in the past, maybe that's where I go towards, like, okay, it's like a game that you're playing. This is how winning looks like. This is where we are starting. So let's go. Uh, and the games that I have played in past are very, very team games. So you have to rely on each other's strength and lean on people for different things. So I think that's how it has helped. Having said that, um, I'm also evolving and learning a lot as a leader, because the hardest thing, and I think the most satisfying thing that you can do, is to lead people towards greatness. And I keep thinking about, like, what do we want for the AI to be? Yeah, we want it to be a successful money making machine for investors, high value generation for our partners. But at the same time, I also want it to be a launchpad for success for people, so that whosoever comes and join us at FurtherAI can then maybe down the line create their own companies, and hopefully they let me invest as an angel in their company. So that would be really cool. Like if there could be a bunch of founders that attribute a part of theirs learning and success to FurtherAI and build their own companies. And we're seeing that, like, it happened in my first company as well. At FurtherAI, we have people who are very entrepreneurial minded. Uh, the team has like 4 ex-founders who have either built companies before or started on those companies or raised funds. Few of them are backed by Y Combinator as well. Their companies in the past were backed by Y Combinator and things like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure these guys will create their own companies in the future, and it'll be fun to see that, like, have them attempt as well.
So has there been anything different in building an AI native or AI first company in terms of either from a leadership point of view, strategic point of view, organizational design, and talent point of view? Anything been different in starting from an AI baseline?
Absolutely, Josh. One big change is knowledge has become commodity, and access to knowledge is very, very, like, readily available. Now, what that means is the kind of people that we are looking for right now have huge drive. They want to be successful because that drives them. Like, I have a chip on my shoulder. My first company was not super successful. So this one, I want to, like, go to the NASDAQ floor, go public with it, and take a group of people with me, which will become memory for them. But the first one is drive and ambition. And the second one is, yeah, just be nice to work with. Uh, because there are some people who are really good, have high drive, but they are very hard to work with. So these are the two things that we are looking at. And we have people who have joined us right out of college, and they're doing magic. Like sometimes I feel that how did you even write this email? This seems like somebody who has about like 25 years of experience has written this. He said that ChatGPT did. It's a huge drive, curiosity, and then like willingness to collaborate and work. I think is the biggest driver for me personally today, in terms of the kind of people that I'm looking at.
And how do you test for that? Do you have any methodologies you use, secret questions you use?
I don't know if I would want to give it away because it was very hard to come up with the methodology, but usually the approach is to learn more about them, what they want to do, what they see in others. For example, one question I often ask is, okay, who is that person that you admire the most and why? And I ask it at different levels, like the person who is like your favorite athlete, the person in your family, person who you studied with, and so on. And then when people talk about those people, that tells them how they see the world, what how like every one of us sees the world through our own bubble, right? So what does their bubble look like? And then the second big question I end up asking is, why do you want to do this in first place? Like what drives you? And people who are driven by growth, people who are driven by, yeah, I want to do it for the fun of it and what I can build out of my own self, ends up being the one that, yeah, shows up every day. Because like entrepreneurship or working in a early stage company is like, somebody very very smart said this, it's like chewing glass, Josh. Over time you have to get used to the taste of your own blood, and maybe
Yeah.
sleeping at 2, waking up at 7, and like getting things done for your team, for yourself. So yeah, that takes a different kind of mindset, personality, and approach. And I mean, I'm still learning, but at FurtherAI, people either love me or they hate me. There is nothing in middle. So that's how it is.
And does it matter for what does it matter whether they're in one camp or the other? Does that impact their ability to perform in the organization?
Yes and no. At the end of the day, we are all sort of coming together and have to carry our own weight. Like, I trust people and they trust me. So that's the kind of culture that we are trying to create here, where, yeah, you don't have to watch your own back. Uh, Somebody else has got you. Like, they will, just like a sport team, right? Like, we are not a
Yeah.
family. We are not a family. We are a high performing sports team. And that's how sort of we operate. Some people really like that, some people don't. And I am very practical in saying that, yeah, not it's not for everyone. But whosoever enjoys that high speed, high growth, fast moving, ownership of things, and just seeing like how, like pushing you to the, like maybe just pushing the bar up on yourself, like what can you do next? I think that kind of people really really enjoy being with FurtherAI.
So I think we're getting close. So I think we're getting close on time here. So one question I have is kind of anything you can share about future product roadmap for FurtherAI, and then also Aman, maybe just where maybe you see the promise overall of AI in insurance maybe heading, and when maybe the next major step in that might be achieved.
Yeah, so in terms of the product roadmap at FurtherAI, we have our work cut out for us, Josh. We have to keep improving the core AI that we have. We have to keep adding more and more workflows to the library. We have to keep improving the integration with systems. And then we have to keep improving the human AI layer that exists. These are the 4 core verticals around which we have to work on the product front. On the revenue front, we have to continue the trajectory that we are on in onboarding new partners, ensuring that they are super, super successful. And yeah, like somebody told us that you guys are setting new levels of customer service, maybe just maintaining those new levels of customer service that we have created. So that's on the product and revenue front. On the insurance front, I'm very bullish about insurance based on my limited experience so far. I really feel that the industry is at an inflection point right now across the two things that we started the conversation with. One, there are going to be substantial amount of efficiency gains, almost to the extreme that you might be able to reduce the expense ratios by 50%. That's going to be crazy. And then second, also on the side of unlocking the part of the market that previously couldn't be reached, not because the risks were not insurable, but because the human intermediated model was not scalable. So it's moving from human powered to AI powered and human moderated. And the side effect of it is also going to be fun. Insurance, which is labeled as laborious or unsexy, is going to be a sexy industry to work for. And to watch.
It'll be the Fang plus insurance.
Fang has gotten pretty boring now, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One last question, if you don't mind. If someone was going to start an AI native business today, or maybe reboot their business as an AI native business, what one piece of advice would you give them?
Spend more time with ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's incredible. I don't know. I have so many ChatGPT threads going at once. I need like a ChatGPT to keep track of them all. I'm not even kidding. It's amazing. I mean, when you get into operator, when you get into the deep research stuff, cooking deep research, we've got, I don't know, 30 years of search records in SharePoint. I just discovered you can use deep research on that.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like, I realize at some point, you have to build out something that's probably a little bit more, bulletproof's the right word, but yeah, it's just incredible what you can do.
Yeah, it's a fascinating time to be alive, Josh. I mean, it's crazy in terms of what all we could do. Things that almost felt like magic before, you can do it. And the biggest unlock is also like AI writing code. We are not even seeing the second order impact of that yet. Imagine like anyone and everyone can write code, build apps, and so on. That's going to change world in a massive way. We have been also constantly thinking about how do we pull that part into the FurtherAI platform as well. So yeah, it's going to be nice.
Yeah, something else, there was a term for it, but one of the guys I've been reading some of his stuff talks about sort of the businesses that can generate more than $1 million ARR per employee.
Yeah.
And predicting that at some point in the not too distant future, there's going to be a one-person unicorn.
1% unicorn.
Because of what you can do with all the technology.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but I don't see why it would not happen. More than that, I really feel that instead of it becoming a one-person unicorn, it'll be a small group of people who'd be able to do a lot more than they were able to do before. But the direction is that, like small, lean teams generating a lot of value.
Yeah. No, I mean, to your point about bringing some of the code writing in-house and other things like that, I mean, with ChatGPT, you can ask it to help you write the prompts now. So it's basically just coding for you just in language you can understand, right? So it's wild.
Go
ahead.
This last thing, there's a quote I read by Margaret Mead. It said that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
Yeah.
And that cannot be more true than today because you have knowledge, you have scalability, and it's just a matter of putting your mind to it and just like the topic of this conversation says, right? Hustle with purpose.
Yeah. So Aman, this has been fun. Anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, all good. Thank you so much, Josh, for having me. It was fun to talk to you about all the things that we spoke about today.
Yeah, great. So Aman Gour, CEO of FurtherAI, thanks so much for joining the InsurTech Leadership Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Josh. Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thanks.